Honey, let's toast. Have this wine. Hi, I'm Isabella. I'm going to tell you without fuss, everything I've been through, a mix of pain, betrayal and, in the end, a new beginning that I never imagined. Sit down because here comes the story. My life until then seemed like something out of a movie. I was married to Edward, a charming guy always with a smile on his face, and I had Carol, my best friend since forever, always by my side. Fancy dinners, parties, trips. Seemed like nothing was missing, you know? I loved every detail from the family jewelry to the gifts we exchanged. But deep down there were some strange moments when I felt a chill down my spine as if something wasn't right. Our wedding anniversary arrived and Edward prepared a very special dinner. The house was beautiful, the table was super well set and we were excited to celebrate. But during dinner when we toasted I realized that something was out of the ordinary. The wine had a strange taste and I was soon overcome by a terrible pain. Edward, who usually gave me such security, seemed worried in a way I didn't understand, and Carol had a look in her eyes that gave me goosebumps. Each sip of that wine felt like a stab, not only in my body but in the trust one had in them. It was the beginning of a nightmare I never imagined. The pain only got worse and soon I ended up being rushed to the hospital. During the time I was hospitalized, Edward hardly ever came to visit me. He said he was having a lot of problems at work, but I felt that wasn't the only one. I thought Carol would help me, but she also just gave me excuses not to show up. There, in the room, surrounded by machines and people talking quietly, I felt completely alone. Between the tests and the sporadic visits, a lot of bad thoughts went through my head. Why is this happening to me? Does someone want to hurt me? It was at that moment, in those silent and frightening hours, that I began to suspect everything. When I was at rock bottom, a bit lost and without strength, Michael appeared. I always thought he was just a distant acquaintance of Edward, but out of nowhere he appeared in my room with genuine concern. He said, "Isabella, I heard what happened and I came here to see how you were doing." I didn't really know what to think. I had never exchanged much with him, but at that moment, while everyone else seemed distant, Miguel was the only person who truly cared. He started visiting me frequently, making me laugh, something that had been hard to happen since I was hospitalized. He brought me books to distract me and always sent me messages of support. Mainly, helping me put together some clues that made me suspicious of everything I was experiencing there. Over time, my physical recovery was slow, but my head started to feel buzzing. I remembered every dinner, every smile from Edward, every strange look from Carol, and everything started to fit together. In one of these conversations with Michael, I confessed that I was suspicious. He encouraged me to investigate, to not accept that it was just bad luck. That's when I discovered some strange messages, half-torn letters that were appearing everywhere, and even details of a day when I found a letter in a drawer. And little by little I began to realize the truth. Edward and Carol were setting everything up so that I would disappear, and they could take everything I had, my jewelry, my possessions, my money. It was a shock, a blow that made me feel like the biggest betrayal of my life. I couldn't accept it. Together with Michael, I started to gather all the evidence I could. Every visit from him, every conversation in the hospital hallway, gave me more courage to face reality. On many nights, while physical pain and sadness took over me, I wrote notes like, "I will no longer be a victim. The time has come to seek justice." I knew I needed to tell everything, to expose once and for all that betrayal that was destroying me. And with Michael's support, I started to plan each step. It wasn't just about me, it was about showing that that cruel scheme would not go unpunished. I managed to access Edward's cell phone and saw the dark conversations he had with Carol, them declaring their love for each other and also their plans to end me. I gathered all the evidence I could and went to the police to report them. There I was, with a heavy heart, reporting every detail of my pain and betrayal, all firsthand, without beating around the bush. The police investigated and arrested them. In the end, justice did its job. Edward and Carol were arrested. Seeing those two being handcuffed was an immense relief. A sign that the truth, no matter how painful, always wins. Even though the storm had passed, there was still a lot of pain. That's when Miguel became my safe haven. During the recovery process, he never left my side. His visits, his conversations, everything made my heart feel less alone. Little by little, I realized that, amidst so much sadness, something very beautiful was being born. One afternoon, while we were walking through the hospital gardens, he took me by the hand and said, "Isabella, you are incredible. Even after everything, You have shown a strength that makes me admire you so much." And at that moment I realized that, despite everything, I was falling in love with Michael. It was strange, but the feeling was sincere, different from anything I had ever experienced. With time and with justice served, I began to rebuild myself. I decided to invest in myself, in therapy, and in rediscovering the small pleasures that I had left aside. And, of course, Michael was always there, supporting me, making me smile again. I started giving lectures, sharing my story, and showing that even when everything seems lost, we can get back on our feet. Each day was a new step towards a life where I was finally in control of my own destiny. Today, looking back, I see that it was all a nightmare that, somehow, led me to an incredible new beginning. The poison that tried to destroy me didn't knock me down. It taught me to fight and to value what really matters: truth, justice, and true love. Edward and Carol paid for everything, and now with Michael by my side, I continue living a life full of hope, lightness, and above all, freedom. This is my story. No beating around the bush, no formalities. Proof that even when the world falls apart, we can bounce back.